Hey guys, how are you? Happy Wednesday if you're watching this today. It's been a week already. Crazy, right? So two things. First of all, I want to thank you guys for the support on my last video. It means a lot. I was hoping to make it valuable for at least one person, and seeing the response, I'm glad I did it, and here I am again. And whatever, second point, whatever I'm saying is not financial advice. I just hope to broaden your thinking so you can use these tools, use the game that we're in to beat the game, right? So a couple things I'm going to go over. I'm going to start with the personal story like I promised. I'm going to go over the takeaways from that story, and I'm going to go over some juicy stuff about the system, how the credit card system works, and how you can beat that game. So first of all, this story. Many of you may know I just graduated college, but before I went to college, I had to sell my car because of financial reasons. It just didn't make sense financially. So what I did, I would come home for the winter, no job, no car, and I'm in Long Island. And if you're in Long Island, you know it's hard to do anything without a car. So what I did was, through my network, luckily enough, which I got hooked up with rental cars at a decent price on a weekly basis. So I would use my credit card. Now, let me reiterate this point. This is starting with $0. I had zero, like, none, this is using $0 of my own money. So I put the rental on the credit card. I used that rental car for DoorDash. Now, DoorDash, in about 4 days, I would cover up the rental costs, the gas costs, and I'd have enough left over to enjoy with my friends. Now, the takeaway from that story is I used that credit card to leverage something that brings cash into my pocket. If you are using credit cards to give the interest to banks, you're already losing the game. I'm sorry. But if you use that credit card as a tool to put money in your pocket, that's what they don't want you to know. I'm going to go over that more in a bit, but how I was leveraging my credit in that scenario was I was building my credit and I was getting rewards. So I had a PayPal, I still do. I have a PayPal credit card that gives me 2% back on every purchase. So instead of me paying interest to banks, I'm putting 2% back into my pocket. Now, this also goes back to my last video. If you have that 2% that you didn't have before, you could start investing with that. So that was takeaway one. Takeaway two is credit score. My credit score was going up, and if you know how credit scores work, it takes a while to build credibility in terms of length for your credit. So your credit history has a specific section. Let me just. It's the term or the length of time that you've had credit cards for. So for you to be considered a fair credit card user in terms of length of time, you need 4 years with one credit card. So you need to have opened your credit card 4 years ago for you to be considered a fair in terms of the length of your credit history. So like I said, if you're 15, 16, 17, figure out when you can get a credit card and start leveraging that. And rewards. I used to make 2% back, like I reiterated, and all of that, investments. Now, how the credit score can be leveraged. Now, when you go to buy a house in, let's say, 10 years, and knowing the prices of New York City, around Queens, a typical house is around $1 million. And when you have $1 million as a house price, interest rates on that makes a big difference, and your interest rates are going to be depending on your credit score. So I'm going to just take an example of 4% and 5%. I'm going to show you the numbers. And I have $1 million, 4%, 5%, right? They both make a difference. Now, 4% of $1 million, I think, is 40 grand. 5% is 50 grand. So 1% interest can literally means tens of thousands of dollars in terms of buying house properties, right? So you want to start building your credit as soon as you can. Use it as leverage. The better credit score, the better the creditors know that you are at handling money, right? So again, that 1% difference in a large quantity can make a big change. It's literally like if you have $1 million house in Queens, it could literally mean the difference of tens of thousands of dollars each year. Each year. And mortgages are up to 30 years. So, obviously I didn't do the math exactly, but you get what I'm saying. If you don't, let me know. You could hit me up or leave it in the comments. But what else? Same thing with cars. When you go to get a car loan, let's say your car is worth 20 grand, and you get an interest rate of 4% as opposed to 6% because your credit score was better, that's going to save you money in the long term. Now, a lot of what wealthy people don't want you to really know is credit is how banks make money. So all the money is pretty much controlled by the banks, right? You borrow the bank's money and they charge you interest for using their money. But if you start to use that borrowed money smartly to put cash in your pocket, you're a step ahead of the banks. Why do you think Warren Buffett invests so heavily into banks? Half of his investment portfolio is probably filled with banks. I haven't looked at it, don't quote me on that. But I've seen like a lot of him holding a lot of bank, stocks. And the reason is because people don't know how to use credit, and a lot of them get into debt, and the interest payments is what helps the rich get richer, right? If you keep paying interest to the credit card companies, you're never going to have money in your pocket. And the system is almost built that way to keep us in debt. Since you're young, you're told to go to college, right? College costs what? Let's just say 100 grand for over 4 years, right? 100 grand over 4 years with 0% ROI. Now, if you really think as an investor, would an investor really invest 100K over 4 years with 0% ROI? No. You'd be crazy if you're an investor. So the system is built to keep you, from knowing how credit works. If they really wanted you to know, like if the wealthy really wanted you to know how to use credit, they would teach you in school. And it's amazing how society just keeps us in that loop. There's school debt, right? You're already in debt, maybe tens of thousands of dollars. Then you go ahead and buy a car because you just graduated. You needed a car. Now you add another 10K to your debt. Now a couple years later, you still have the student loans. You still have the car debt. Now you're going to go buy a house, more debt. So this is how the banks make money. And if you can get ahead, if you can create cash flowing assets, the bank doesn't need to get that money, right? And I know this is a lot of information coming at you guys, and this might be confusing. So I reiterate, reach out to me if you have any questions. I can absolutely clarify them. And I hope this shows you how you can leverage your credit instead of, paying the banks your money, put money in your pocket. Get ahead of that system. Know how to play the game and you'll beat the game. That's what I say. What else? Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, I think that's it. I hit up all the points, and if you have any questions, again, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to answer them. And again, thank you for your support, guys. See you next week.